Welcome to my Senate analysis video, so let's start. And there we go, so let's begin in Florida. So in Florida, Marco Rubio was able to win by a huge landslide margin, even winning Miami-Dade. And this will visualize it better, so he won by around 16%. The margins are not 100%, but yeah, you can see Red Miami-Dade makes a comeback. Furthermore, let's go and talk about Iowa. So in Iowa, Chuck Grassley did underperform like most people and pollsters thought. He was only able to win here by the margin of around, here you go, 12.2%, and really close compared to other elections, but he still wins because it's Iowa. Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa, was able to outrun Chuck Grassley, fun fact. And for Missouri, while we're here, Missouri, it was an Eric Schmidt win of around 13%, around that margin, 13.5%, which was where I had it 12% to 14%, but a place where the pollsters were massively off. That is in Washington. So in Washington, Patty Murray was able to win here by a huge, not a huge margin, but still almost around 14.5%, which really shows you that a lot of these pollsters were really terrible. I mean, all of these had Patty Murray barely winning by 5%. The only ones that were right were like Civics, even Survey USA, Public Polling. All of these underestimated Patty Murray. And Trafalgar and Emerson took a huge L. They're probably gonna, I wouldn't be surprised if they're F tier on 538. And goes to show how much money the National Republican Party decided to spend in Washington. It was a huge waste of money that could have gone into the swing states like Pennsylvania or, I mean, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, or Georgia, or whatever, or even North Carolina. But let's go to Colorado. So in Colorado, it's really a horrible sign for the Colorado GOP, as Joe Day ran a similar campaign to Cory Gardner, but he lost by a huge margin. I think Michael Bennett's won here by 14.3%, around that margin. And yeah, it tells you how gone Colorado is for the GOP, and it's gonna trend even more to the left in the future. So you're not gonna see a lot of people from Colorado being from the Republican Party. And I think that's it. Let me check for a second. Let me talk about the Northeast. So Blumenthal was able to win in Connecticut by a spot-on margin of 15%. I had him winning by 14% to 16%, so I'm really glad about that one. We take our wins. Vermont, easy win for Welch. I think Trafalgar had this within 5%, which tells you how bad of a pollster they are. Oh man, that was funny by them. And New Hampshire, I'm gonna talk about them in just a second though. As well in New York, where Chuck Schumer barely won here by a safe margin. He only won here by 13.2%, and we were so close to having likely New York in the Senate level, and this goes to show how bad, how much Kathy Hochul sunk the ticket for all the Democrats in the whole state. And this also is a good sign for Joe Pinion, so you might see him in the future since he does have a bright future in the New York GOP. But furthermore, in Hawaii, I was able to catch that Brian Schatz not only won here by at least 70%, but which is almost 50%, but if you go to Ballotpedia, it does actually show Brian Schatz winning with 50% of the vote. And if this stays, this is a huge landslide win for Schatz, which I found a bit of a fun fact. And now for the likely states. So since I was just talking about New Hampshire, you know what, let's just go and talk about New Hampshire. So New Hampshire was it was almost a landslide win for the Democrats and Maggie Hassan. So Maggie Hassan won here in New Hampshire by a huge margin. And this was, fun fact, one of the most likely flips for the GOP at the start, just right after the 2020 election. And they went from potentially winning this race with someone like Sununu or someone like that, or Kelly Yotes or someone like that, by a likely margin to losing to the Democrats, and the Democrats winning here by a likely margin. And let me see right here. You can see they won almost every county. And Maggie Hassan won here by 9.2%, and shows you that you can run candidates that are like Baldock in swing states And that's one of the big issues that the GOP did in this cycle, just running candidates that were like, that really, the ideology-wise, were more suited to more conservative or Republican strongholds than New Hampshire. And we might see New Hampshire in 2024 still be likely D. And now for the other ones, the likely states, I think, for the Republicans. For the first one, which I am slightly surprised by how close it was, I did underestimate Evan McMullin. So Evan McMullin, he did quite well and was able to get probably enough old school Republicans to vote for him, aka the Bush Republicans. And this shows him winning by, this shows Mike Lee, the incumbent Republican, winning by 11.9%. But on Google, which does have the more recent results, you can see, right here, you can view how well Evan McMullin did. And Mike Lee is on track to only win here by 11.4%. This shows you how well of a decision that was by the Utah Democrats to actually nominate, in a fusion ticket, nominate Evan McMullin. And perhaps someday he may run as a Democrat or independent aligned in Utah. I wouldn't be surprised about that. While for Ohio, Tim Ryan did quite well, and it was able to help the Democrats down the ballot and really saved a lot of Democrats in the House single-handedly, because he won here by, I think the margin is 6.4 or 6.6% in Ohio. And JD Vance, as I thought he would, he underperformed Trump by not a decent bit, but it's still by a bit of percentages, which makes sense because Vance really he didn't do much after getting the nomination by the GOP. He just took things for granted. And Tim Ryan, he was able to get some Obama-Trump supporters, but that was not going to be enough, and I think we all knew that. Tim Ryan's main goal was to take as many bullets by the GOP and basically get all the money, and get some of the money that was supposed to go into the swing states put into the race in Ohio. And that's it for the likely states. For the lean states, let's start off for the Democrats this time around, because in Pennsylvania, where do we start in Pennsylvania? John Fetterman picked up this crucial seat for the Democrats, which they need for 2024. The Senate map in 2024 is god-awful for Democrats. I will make a video, by the way. I will make a video once the map is on PMS or YAPMS. I will do a video, but I'll see what I do. So back to Pennsylvania. John Fetterman, he actually did quite well in the rules area, and he was also, just like Tim Ryan, able to get some of the Obama-Trump supporters, which in my videos, if you look at them back, I didn't think John Fetterman was gonna win, but no one thought Josh Shapiro was gonna win by a landslide margin of a safe margin, which basically carried Fetterman over the line. And Fetterman is now a senator, thanks to Josh Shapiro doing so well and the Democrats putting the money in the right place. But Pennsylvania goes to show that the Democrats should still go and talk to the rules and people in the rural areas and just appeal to them. And John Fetterman was able to do that just right, and he almost won here by a likely margin. The Obama-Trump Fetterman voters came in quite well for Fetterman, and Shapiro as well helped him, which is why Fetterman wins here by 4.5%, fun fact. And now for another swing race that was really close to being a likely margin in Arizona. So in Arizona, it was an absolute bloodbath for the GOP. Blake Masters, I only had him winning because of the national environments, but even then, he might actually lose by a likely margin. It depends on a whole lot of things, but Mark Kelly, I think, is up by 4.9%. And what this showed me, and showed a lot of people, is that Arizona is not a populous state. Kimberly Yee, who was, if you look back at my early videos in 2021, Kimberly Yee, here's the map by the way, she won by a landslide margin. And goes to show, in my opinion, that Arizona is an establishment state, and Republicans cannot afford to nominate anyone close to Trump if they want to win. And it's not looking good for them in the future. Sinema probably wins in 2024, by the way. And Mark Kelly is going to stay in the Senate for a long term, for a long time, most certainly. And now for the lean states for the Republicans, let's begin in North Carolina. So in North Carolina, Ted Budd did slightly underperform expectations, and he only won here by the margin of 3.6%, which was below what the pollsters were thinking. And Ted Budd, yeah, he won by what Trump won, I think, in 2016, around that margin. Not much to say here, except that Cherry Beasley did well with African American voters. And yeah, that's about it. Not that much of a surprise or anything big in North Carolina, but there's 2 races right here. But to be honest, you might see Arizona be a likely race if the remaining ballots do break for Mark Kelly, but I'm gonna leave it as lean because of how that's the map works. For Wisconsin, it is a similar story, and the reason why I say that is really because of how bad, it's not how bad Ron Johnson did, it's because how good the Democrats did in Wisconsin. Since Tony Evers won there by around, 3.5%, it affected Ron Johnson, and he barely won, and I think this is the closest race in Ron Johnson's career in the Senate. And Mandela Barnes came close, but as I said before, the Democrats should have nominated someone else, and he probably would have won. Again, Wisconsin and Democrats barely missing out on winning is just the dynamic duo in elections, man. But yeah, as you can see, it's basically spot on 1%. It could drop below 1%. It could stay at 1%, but I'm gonna leave it as lean. It might drop to tilt R, but I'm gonna leave it as lean R because that's how the map is at the moment. And before you go, don't forget, I'm actually gonna make my kind of like early Georgia runoff prediction at the end, so don't go. For Nevada, so Nevada was another surprise of the night to some extent. A lot of people were really hesitant on this, but the Reid machine once again won, and Cortez Masto won re-election. Adam Laxalt was a decent candidate by the GOP, but this really was not the year to be a Republican running in the Senate or the House or anywhere else, to be honest. This was a blue puddle year. In all honesty, and Cortez Masto wins re-election. It's really close to being a lean margin too. It might go up. It depends on the remaining votes and how they're counted and how they are, and for who those votes break. But for now, I do have Cortez Masto. But it's according to Google. Google has Masto winning here by a tilt margin. Really close race compared to most other ones. Wisconsin and Nevada could have easily gone both ways, which is weird to think. And now for Georgia and the runoff that is coming up on December. Yeah, the runoff will happen. So my prediction in the runoff is that right here, Warnock actually did quite better and actually almost won in the first round. So there are no polling. We cannot trust any polling right now, except for like NYT, Siena, and Marist. They did quite well, and 538 actually did quite well too. And I'm just gonna see if there's any polling for the second round. Nah. So, Herschel Walker really needed to win in the first round, and with Brian Kemp not on the ballot, on December 6th, I do see Raphael Warnock winning here by a lean margin. I think he will win here, and the Democrats would do quite well, I think. Because Trump also announced that he is running, that will hurt Herschel Walker, and Democrats will Raphael Warnock are gonna come out big, and turnout-wise will be quite high in Georgia. So yeah, but before you go, I want to say thank you for sticking out throughout all these videos. They do take a lot of work, and I am glad to hear that a lot of you enjoyed the 2022 midterm cycle with me. It was quite fun to talk about every single race, look at the polls, do my predictions, and even though the pollsters were once again off in 2022, I'm gonna try to do better in 2024 and 2023, of course. And as you can see, the Democrats won with 51 seats against the Republicans' 49 seats. Thank you for watching my 2022 videos. That's it. Feel free to leave a like and see you next time.